Today is what, January 14th? Been doing dry January now for the 14th day. Kind of at the halfway point. I'm sure I'll bring this up again in the next couple of days because this is what the 16th is officially the more than halfway point with 31 days in January. Um, I've been kind of lucky so far because, like last night, I was at a board meeting and literally no one had alcohol, which is unusual because normally most people get a beer or two and nobody did. So that part was nice. I didn't have to worry about social pressures. And I think that's part of this, right? Is being able to say, I don't have to have alcohol. I don't. It's just not something that I need to have in my life as much as, we may enjoy it at times. And I'm not the one who ever gets drunk, but there's no doubt that there's some enjoyment factor with not just the taste, which I do enjoy. And I'm not a huge beer guy. I actually like rum, so I'm not drinking like crazy. I drink kind of slow, but I like my rum and cokes. But I do also enjoy beers here and there. But yeah, no one last night had any. The closest anyone had was a tea. So that was good. That was good. I've got one other thing coming up this month. But I will say that I'm kind of actively trying to stay away from social functions, which is not the intended, result of dry January. I just know that the temptation certainly is higher when I've got other people around me drinking. And the snow days did not help out. I definitely wanted to have, a beverage to relax with at night. I mean, the snow was coming down. Like, we're talking about a perfect scene just to sit back and have a glass of wine with my partner and enjoy. And we're both committed to this dry January. And honestly, I'm glad I had a partner in this because I think if I were solo, I might not have done it. And I did dry January as a solo person out in the dating world, which was honestly a little difficult as well. So I think it's been a number of years now. I'm pretty sure I've mostly just abstained from kind of going out a little bit. I think I remember going to a bar, and I was right near the end. I think it was like January 25th or later. I was meeting up with a buddy of mine at a bar, and I just had Diet Cokes or whatever. And I'm not sure that that would have held true had I been on January 5th, right? There's a big difference. The first week, whatever. But man, whenever you're halfway there, when you're almost there, you're like, oh, well, now I'm just going to push on through. And I guess maybe I got a bad attitude about this because I was thinking about this last night. I talk a lot about accountability and vulnerability. And if you say you're going to do something, you do it. You don't just be like, it's the first week, no big deal. So I got to check myself on that because I thought about that afterwards. If I make a promise to do something like dry January, like, okay, I'm not going to eat sugar today, we're not going to have sugary treats today, I'm going to have to pull through with that, right? Like I gotta hold myself accountable and teach myself, learn how to not let myself down. Because if I cannot keep a promise to myself, how am I going to keep promises to others? So that did come to my mind last night as I was talking with a good friend of mine on the board. And I'm like, well, this is the 13th day. I mean, like halfway through at this point. So I was going to keep going and get it done. And that jumped in my head. How full of shit do I sound like? How crappy is that? That I would allow myself in the first week to just let a goal go away because I feel like it, because it feels like it's too hard, doing air quotes there. too hard to do dry January, to not do something. It's just like losing weight for most people is as easy as not doing something. Stop eating. And it's hard. It actually is hard to not do something, but to not have a drink, to not put zebra cake in my mouth. Really, if you tell yourself you're going to do something, then you have to go through with it. You have to continue on with what you said that you're going to do. And I personally have had a problem with that, which is why I'm overweight. Because I tell myself I'm going to do something and then I don't commit to it. I allow myself to say, whatever. And that's something that I'm working on. When you make a promise to yourself, keep it. And then when you make that next promise to yourself, keep it. Teach yourself that you're going to go through with all of your promises. That's what I've read. That's what I've heard. That's what all the highest achievers say. Never break a commitment to yourself. And I have been guilty of that time after time after time. Or there's a lot of times, not to get off on too much of a tangent here, there's a lot of times when I'll reach a goal, but then I don't have the next goal. So then there's a lot of times where maybe I'm not breaking a promise to myself. Like when I talk about weight, like I'll get to a good spot and be like, it's okay. I'm good. I can relax now. Time and time again, I've done that. Oh man, I'm looking good. I almost got all the weight. Like I'm right where I want to be. It's not that big of a deal. I'll just have a cookie. It's all right. And then one cookie turns into 5. That's day 1. And day 2, you'll have a couple more. It's no big deal. I'll just work it off. It's no big deal. So not necessarily breaking a promise to myself, but I'm allowing myself to relax instead of being diligent. And between breaking promises to myself, like, oh, I'm going to start now. And then, the next day rolls around and I go back to my bad habits. Or I do the opposite. I just relax on things. I get close to the goal. I get to the goal. And then I stop. And I'm not sure if that's really an issue with having reached a goal, or is it an issue with not having the next goal? Probably a little bit of both, as most things are. Probably both. But going back to my original point, like how crappy is it? That's the kind of person that I've become and I'm trying to shift away from. Somebody who says, I'm going to do something, and then if it's not early or if it's not late in the process, it's okay if I let it go. It's optional. No, it's not optional. I can't let it be optional. So certainly something that I need to work on, something that I need to focus my energy on, is making sure that if I make a promise to myself, I do it every single day without fail. And then as I've been talking this through, got to have that next goal. That's great. You lost 5 pounds. Don't put it back on. What are you going to do next? You lost that 5 pounds. You're going to lose some more? Or are you going to just try to maintain the goal? That if you're not going to lose another 5 pounds, the goal is to keep that 5 pounds off for the next week, and then the next 2 weeks, and then the next month, and then the next year. And that's where I need to personally be. That's something I need to focus on. Man, that's a lot of accountability. That's a lot of vulnerability right there. It's a lot of work I need to do. I'm coming up on 47, and I still have problems with this. It was like this morning. I woke up a little late. I didn't feel good. My head was hurting a little bit. Yet no alcohol. Yet I still have a hurt head. Still have a headache. something I deal with all the time. And, I know I just need to lay down and get some more rest in. Now it's almost 6 o'clock, and I've missed my window for my workout in the morning, which pisses me off. But I'll make it up. I'll absolutely make it up. I'm still trying to do this 5K a day thing on average, right? It doesn't have to be an actual 5K a day, but on an average, I want to get at least 5K a day. And that one's kind of a mind, messes with my mind because I feel like I have to do it. I have to do it. I have to do it. And this is one of those things where I think it came up recently. My partner was at something as far as goals for her gym, and she talked about us having given up alcohol for the month of January. And I think they tried to delve in, well, why? Why are you giving that up? Why is that a goal of yours? Because what you're telling us is that it's not an issue, right? You only have a couple of drinks a week, and I maybe a couple more than that tops. But mostly, I don't drink that much, if anything. And their point was, well, if it's not an issue, why are you doing something about it, right? Or what is the intention behind it? I think is maybe what they're really trying to get at without being able to maybe verbalize it the best. What is my goal behind running a 5K a day? Why do I feel like I need to have that average? And I would like to have that average over the entire year. But what is my goal for it? And I'm not sure I have one. I just made something up like, oh, that sounds good. Now I could attach, well, it probably is good for my fitness level to have that minimum amount of 5K a day. We're not talking about much here, 3.1 miles, which gets me to kind of my minimum of 8,000 steps, which I should really aim for probably 10,000. And if I get a 5K in a day, I'm probably pushing 10,000 steps or more per day. But what is the underlying goal? Why did I set that goal? And that's something I just pulled it out of a hat. I don't have a real good why for that. Why am I doing that? And I guess that's okay. But when push comes to shove and, I'm at 3 miles a day on average instead of 3.1, if I don't have a good why to it, then will I care to make up that extra 0.1 average? If I'm at 21 miles and I'm hurting or I'm running out of time for the week, will I get that other 0.7? Because you got to have 21.7 miles on average for the week. And if you don't have a strong why, will you continue? And I'm not sure. So I need to think about it. This really is an important goal of mine. It's not up there on my list. I just pulled out of a hat and I thought, well, that's probably a pretty good health thing to have it somewhere around there. And I don't plan on taking it off, but that's my goal without a why. But that's my goal, certainly for the month of January. But I do have this issue where it kind of takes over my week. It kind of messes with my mind because now I feel like I have to get this in. And if I'm behind, that means all I'm doing is running. And I like to work out. And it's been cold. It's been snowy. It's been icy. I have a lot of reasons to not get out and go to the gym already. I don't need another one, which is, oh man, I got to get this running. I'm too tired after I do the 5K or more to go work out. And that's what I'm saying. Like, it messes with my mind. So that's stuff I'm dealing with. A lot of personal stuff. But it's all minuscule things. Got to get my mind right. I've got to stop being a sugar junkie, because that's what I feel like right now. I'm a junkie for sugar. I've been able to stop it by like 1 or 2 days so far this year, and we're 13 days in. And then, of course, this extends before Christmas, right? All the junk food laying out. It's around. It's easy to just grab some junk. So I got to get that in. I got to get my workout in. I got to push it in sometime during the day or right after the work day. Taking my son to soccer practice, but this is not a place you can go do a workout. I used to like that whenever I would take my oldest to practice. I actually had a chance to get a run in while she was practicing, but it's not for a 4-year-old. Doesn't work like that yet. One of these days. But I got to get after it. It's almost 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to do some work before I got to go take off and meet some people. Let's get after it.